Hey guys, first Regardsman here, and so I'll be talking about the upcoming patch 14, everything you expect to be coming to the game, and my overall thoughts on the state of the test server and the suspected release date. The public test server for patch 14 has been out for about a week at this point, and we've had full access to all the new heroic weapons and the brand new Chaos Terminator boss. And we've even gotten a look at the new Raptor Cosmetic pack and Salamander's Champion set for the heavy class. This is also the final patch of Space Marine 2's Year 2 plan. It is intended to be a far less substantial patch in terms of content than the previous Purgation and Tech Marine update. We're really only getting the heroics and Terminator boss of the Cosmetic DLC, alongside the cloaks and tabards section for the Wargear update, which is also less substantial in terms of new Ultra Grind ordeals than patch 13 was. As far as when this new patch will officially come out, we should expect this one around late July or early August, since we already know that patch 15 is coming out in September, and last year we also had patch 9 in late July as a smaller patch for the overall smaller year 1, and this time period just makes total sense for year 2. Regardless of when it comes out, I will be live streaming the patch on my Twitch and here on my YouTube, so if you want to see all the new content and builds live, you can find a link in the video description. I'll send a link to my community Discord. Now, the first thing I want to mention about this patch, since people keep asking me for some reason, is that there is no new operation coming with patch 14. There might be one with patch 15 during the anniversary, since we did see the same thing last year with the Vortex operation, and might even see another boss if we do get one, since Saber already confirmed that year 3 will have 2 end of operation bosses, just like we got with year 2 during the Reclamation update and patch 10 anniversary. When it comes to new heroic weapons in patch 14, we are getting 6 new heroic options for the first time since patch 11 last November. The reason we didn't get 6 for patch 12 and patch 13 is that patch 12 was originally intended to have no heroics at all, and all 6 were supposed to be saved for patch 13 instead. But they decided to split them between patch 13 and patch 12, which is why we got 3 in each of those. I have seen some confusion about this before, so hopefully that gives you an idea on the discrepancy between these patches. Now, the 6 heroics this time around have been a bit controversial on the public test server for balancing reasons. The first one we're getting is a Salamander's Power Sword, the light attack focused heroic effect. Now, this one looks amazing, and it's exactly what you'd expect from a Salamander's Burning Blade. However, the perk effect does not cause a burn status effect of any kind, even though we already have this in the game for both ranged weapons and equipment. The weapon itself does have a strong perk effect that the Empower stacks despite it being broken on the PTS, since it can give you a massive 300% damage boost on some of your attack options, but just for the sake of thematics and also the community of Space Marine 2, I really think that Saber needs to give this weapon a burn effect upon the full release of patch 14, because it does seem like such a simple thing to add since we already have this effect in game. But you guys can let me know how you feel about that, and if you want a burn effect or if you don't care much either way. The next heroic we have coming is the Inferno Combi Fist Death Watch. This one is at the moment a pile of trash. It is only a good weapon because the Power Fist itself is a good weapon, and its stats are okay as a balanced option. But the Flame Burn effect practically requires the enemies to clump up for you, and it has 0 tracking, which is god awful, but hey, at least it looks cool as a Death Watch option. The next one I think will become a fan favorite is the new heroic Thunderhammer, which is called the Lord Executioner's Axe, with its own unique Aftershock spin attack. This one is a ton of fun to use and actually pretty damn effective as well. Out of all the heroics, I would actually suggest picking this one up right out of the box on the patch launch, because even if it gets 0 changes, it is already in a pretty decent spot. We're also getting 3 ranged heroics this time around, and the first one I'll mention here is the Death Watch Stalker Bolt Rifle. This gives an aspect scan area on 5 consecutive shots, so will boost up your damage, and on the test server, it is currently broken to have the incorrect stat display and only functions on body shots, but that should be fixed by the time the official patch rolls around. The next ranged weapon, and my personal favorite, is the heroic Salamander's Melta Rifle. This trades in your close range shotgun-like spread of the standard Melta for a slower firing charge shot, and this is far closer to how Melta rifles actually function in the lore of Warhammer 40k, since they are the premier armor shredders and Astartes killers. Now, the actual damage of this thing leaves a bit to be desired, but the weapon's playstyle is a ton of fun to use even in its current state, and this could also become a staple of the tactical since it combines stagger with long range burst auspex damage. The final ranged weapon is the Combi Flamer. This is the Bolt Carbine heroic variant, and despite the damage of the bolter portion being around the Artificer tier, which is almost certainly a bug on the PTS, the function of this weapon is well designed, and as long as they up the damage numbers on this thing a bit and make the ammo economy a bit better as well, this should be a great addition to the Sniper and Vanguard class especially, since up until now they've had 0 option for a flamethrower like this, and it could easily fill some build gaps. But those are all the heroics coming this patch. Let me know what you guys think about the current lineup, and this is what you wanted, and if you're curious about some of the best or most entertaining setups for these weapons on launch, I'll be covering all the builds for these on the official release of patch 14 as usual. There's an obvious Salamander's theme here, and that makes sense considering the cosmetics are coming alongside this patch on top of these, which brings me to the upcoming cosmetic selection. We have both the Salamander's Heavy Champion coming out this time around and the Raptor Raptors Cosmetic Pack. The Salamanders Heavy is the first champion skin we've had for the Heavy class since the DLC Launch Edition Ultramarines champion, and this was also stated to be a champion skin made in direct response to the previous Salamanders champion on the Sniper last year. And thank God, because a Sniper Salamander was probably the dumbest idea for a champion skin in this game, even if it did look pretty decent. This one, however, fits the aesthetic of a Salamander far more in my opinion, and gives us a flaming iron halo that will be transferable through the Wargear customization update we saw implemented in patch 13. The helmet is also available on the Phobos armored classes like the Vanguard and Sniper, and will also be available on the Tech Marine. The new cape is also going to be transferable across the classes, but this one looks incredibly similar to the previous one on the Sniper class, so I really don't think it's that substantial of an addition. But there is also going to be a multi-melta champion skin in this that has a very similar look to the Bolt Sniper champion option we saw for the previous champion pack as well. But overall, I am pretty satisfied with this champion set. The helmet and iron halo are the obvious standouts, and having an open dome Gravis armor piece is pretty nice too, since a lot of the armors on the Heavy class make this guy look a bit like Humpty Dumpty, at least in my opinion. We've also gotten a full look at the Raptors Cosmetic Pack coming to patch 14. The major standout here is the helmet, which is effectively just a Mark 7 with a bionic eye, and this is also transferable across pretty much every single class, alongside the shoulder pieces that will have a camo cloak, and the chest piece just looks like a tactical vest basically. There's also a cape, but this one is pretty lame, I'm not gonna lie. It's just a recolor of the capes we already had in the Sniper class, but this is also transferable to other classes in the Wargear customizer, so that will be nice to have. And speaking of the Wargear, this update will be giving us the final section of the Wargear update with cloaks and tabards with some new Ultra Grind ordeals. This section of the Wargear update is definitely less substantial than the prior one was with the patch 13 update, and the cloak selection is almost entirely limited to the tactical and assault class this time around. There are a couple new cloak options with new textures, but for the most part, it's just a slight movement of tabards and cloaks we already had. If you were hoping for something like capes on Bulwark in this patch, those are not confirmed at all, but I wouldn't be too disappointed because we did have leaks for a third Wargear slot in the future, and that might be coming with this patch or in the upcoming patch 15. And we also know for a fact that Bulwark will be getting a Space Wolf champion skin that has a cape and iron halo, which in my opinion heavily hints that this third Wargear slot will be for a cape option on the Bulwark and probably other classes, since I don't really know where else this would be categorized unless it's just part of the backpack option. You guys can let me know what you think about the Space Wolf champion set, and if you want a full breakdown of all the leaks coming in patch 15 and beyond, I also have a video on that and the one-handed Thunderhammer. The final cosmetic additions we are getting in patch 14 are for the Heroic store. Now, despite only having 3 new options here, they are actually some of the better Heroic cosmetics we've had so far. We're getting a Deathwatch Inquisition chest piece and a new Deathwatch arm piece to match the shoulder we already have in the game. Both of these will go perfectly with the Combi Deathwatch Fist, Stalker Bolt Rifle, and the previously released Deathwatch Heroic Heavy Bolt Rifle, which is actually one of the strongest guns in the entire game at the moment and best in slot for tactical and the Tech Marine. And don't confuse these Deathwatch cosmetics for the upcoming Deathwatch champion skin in year 3. They are completely separate editions, so by the end of 2027, we will have a ton of Deathwatch options in the game, and beyond Deathwatch cosmetics, they will also be giving us an Ultramarine champion right shoulder pauldron, which has a colorable Aquila pin beyond the base color. But that is pretty much everything for heroic weapons, cosmetics, and DLC. The last major thing coming in patch 14 is of course the new Terminator Sorcerer boss. This is the first major boss addition to the randomized spawn pool for operations we've had in 2 years of Space Marine 2, and I have fought this guy quite a bit on the public test server, and my overall opinion on him is that he is a phenomenal boss addition, and even though he's crashed my game and his triple clone spawns feel a little overtuned, he is definitely helping in breaking up the monotony of Hellbrood spam on the Chaos faction. Now, a lot of players want this boss to be added at the end of Obelisk and Purgation to round out their finales, and I've also asked for this myself before on Obelisk, where I think he would fit perfectly, but after fighting him on the PTS, I'm not sure I actually want this guy in a giant open area like we see with Purgation, because he will just laser spam the shit out of you. I know this boss has also been a bit controversial, since he does kind of spam clones through walls at you and is generally disruptive, but you guys can let me know how you feel about this boss, whether you've only seen footage or you fought him yourself on the PC version of the game. And aside from content additions, we will also be getting some balance changes to the game with confirmed buffs for things like the Heroic Bolt Pistol and nerfs to the Auspex and burn interactions, where burn damage will no longer be buffed by the Auspex multiplier. They will also be adding weekly accolades to the PvP Eternal War mode in this patch as well, so you will also be able to obtain more accolades than ever each month. There are currently no class changes coming this patch, but the official patch release could potentially have some changes to that, but for now, that is everything in patch 14 we know of so far. Despite this patch being the smallest in all of year 2, I think the content here is more substantial substantial than I would expect initially, especially since a new boss to the randomized pool and siege mode is a pretty huge bonus compared to things like the end of operation bosses that you'll only fight on their respective missions. And when this patch does drop later this month or early August, we will not have to wait very long at all for the bigger patch 15, since we already know that it's coming in September. Those are all my thoughts about the new heroics and boss. You guys let me know how you feel about everything coming out for this patch and what your overall feelings are for year 2 as a whole, since we have finally reached the end of the year 2 plan, which really kind of pushed the game into a far better position than what we saw in year 1. And if you like content like this, subscribe for more, and if you want to watch me live to ask me questions about the game or just coming out, you can find me here on YouTube or on Twitch with a link in the video description. I'll say the link to my community Discord. I also want to say a special thank you to my channel members. I could not make all the guides that I do without your support over the past 2 years, and I really appreciate that. And as always, thank you for watching, take it easy, bye.